Bigfoot. Why would I talk about Bigfoot? Well, I'm a nature enthusiast. I spend a lot of time in the woods. And if you're someone who does that, you will eventually encounter strange noises or happenings that you can't explain. The woods can be a very strange place, and the more time you spend there, the more you'll come to realize this. In many spiritual circles, especially shamanic circles and other earth-based belief systems, the subject of Bigfoot will eventually come up. Why? People who are driven to these spiritual paths spend a lot of time in nature. If you spend enough time there, you'll eventually come to the conclusion that there is something out there, something else. But I'm here to tell you that Bigfoot is way more than that. I've been studying the phenomenon of Bigfoot and doing research on this elusive being for nearly 10 years. I curiously entered the world of Bigfoot for something interesting to do because I get bored easily. But looking for Bigfoot gave me much more than just a pastime. It gave me knowledge I never would have gained through any other means. And what I've learned will be no surprise to some, but will shock others. Some simply won't believe what I'm about to say, but there are also others who know. Bigfoot may be the anomaly to end all anomalies. Oftentimes, Bigfoot researchers and enthusiasts will find a single footprint from this being or merely a few prints, and then the trackway suddenly stops for no reason. No more prints. There are some that say that they have seen Bigfoot levitate before their eyes. There are some who say that they can cloak themselves in a kind of camouflage so as not to be seen, or that they can become completely invisible. Others say they can zap you with some kind of energy wave that can make you sick or completely immobilize you if you threaten them or stress them in any way. And some say they can travel from one dimension into another. Now, why do people say these things? Because they're crazy? Delusional? I don't really think so. You see, when many people from different parts of the world that don't know each other make similar or even almost precise claims about them, we have to tell ourselves that there's something going on. Something is different about Bigfoot, and we really need to examine that. We need to listen to these claims because they haven't gone away in the 10 years that I've been studying the subject. False ideas always eventually fall away over time, but possible truths always persist. Bigfoot is not your typical undiscovered animal. Yes, Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature that really exists. But there are other more metaphysical or non-physical aspects to this being that separate it from any other quote-unquote apes that might be wandering the forests of the world. Bigfoot is a type of human, but is more intelligent than any human you know. And as we all carry a certain vibrational frequency, Bigfoot has a much higher one than we do. And this higher frequency is responsible for some of their amazing abilities, especially how they move from one dimension into another. Let's be clear here. In order to understand what may make Bigfoot so different from any other intelligent life form is its ability to move in and out of different dimensions. But we have to remember that dimensions aren't places. Dimensions are states of consciousness that exist at certain vibrational frequencies. And the higher the dimension, the higher the vibration. Humans on the spiritual path to enlightenment are capable of this. We all have the potential to travel to other dimensions. All that's needed is a higher state of consciousness, that's all. This is a very simple thing for a highly evolved being like Bigfoot that probably exists at a much higher state of consciousness. Many native tribes have historically spoken of Bigfoot and have called them spiritual beings, though they and many others have seen them in their flesh and blood form. And if you see them in flesh and blood form, You and your perceptions that are based on years of being taught that the physical world is all there is will naturally think that their physical form is all there is. But the physical world is not all there is. There are many layers to reality, and we're all only beginning to unlock just a few. We have to get out of this box of thought in order to grasp what I'm about to say about them. Why is Bigfoot so different and so elusive? Let's just assume that people making these unusual claims about them are actually telling the truth, or at least what they believe to be the truth. There is one explanation that works, and that is that Bigfoot is most likely an extraterrestrial. This explains everything about them. This would explain why they seem to stay hidden from us so easily and why people have seen them doing some really incredible things. Their hiding abilities could actually be an advanced type of stealth cloaking that rivals the technology of our military. This explains the telepathy some experience in their presence. They may have lived here on Earth for many thousands of years, but originally came from somewhere else. And maybe they carry with them a knowledge of reality that we are only beginning to grasp, and perhaps a whole toolbox of abilities befitting a being that's far more advanced than we are, but just happens to look like an ape. Some suggest that they've been sent here to observe us, and if that were true, then wouldn't they have been given some tools in order to make their job easier? Like, say, the ability to hide from us very well? Think about it. Bigfoot is an ET.